Hey, this is Tyler with TJX Survival. I'm here with
Jim Nowka from American Knife Company.
And we're going to show you a little bit about survival priorities in the winter if you get stranded on a snowmobile. So stay tuned. So if you're out snowmobiling and you break down for some reason, you gotta say, what's gonna kill me first? What's gonna restrict me first? Realistically, in a situation like this, if you try to go walking any kind of long distances, even a few hundred yards in the snow, you're gonna post hole, you're gonna get stuck. So even if all you're doing is run around camp, gathering firewood, trying to do a survival scenario because you're gonna spend the night, if you have time, the first thing you should build is snowshoes. So we're gonna show you how to make some snowshoes to get through the snow.
Sounds good.
So what you're gonna look for is semi-bendable sticks that are at least 6 feet tall. Essentially what you're gonna do is put 3 or 4 sticks per leg and makes these skis. It's really field expedient way of making what you're looking for, okay? So, got this nice American Knives Deali that I'm gonna chop with, and this is a semi-hard wood. So what I need to do in order to cut this with a knife instead of a hatchet, because I was too dumb and didn't bring one or whatever, is I'm gonna cut it in a circle. And as I cut the bark on this, it's gonna make it easier to just bust it off. So once I've done that, now I basically floured it, and that'll give it the ability to tip over. So there's a minimal amount of effort that I'm putting into getting that puppy chopped off, because if this is a survival situation, I can't be exhausting myself because I don't know the next time I'm gonna eat. So I'm trying to show a little bit how you can do this with a small knife. I had this American Knives Forester blade here. Very sweet little blade. And all you're gonna do, and I've kind of started it a little bit already, is to remove the bark. Because the bark is the dynamic part of the tree that keeps it from splitting, okay? And you could baton, but let's say you were dumb and had a Mora blade. Sorry, I went there. Mora's a good blade, but you can't baton a Mora without breaking it.
Moras are cheap blades.
They're cheap. They're good for the cheapness that they are, but they're still cheap. You know what? That's a perfect example right here. Take that little puppy right there, and basically I'm going to put it at a little bit of an angle, and it gives me less effort to actually chop the blade and just go wider and wider until I'm able to split it all out. Now obviously using this small tool, which would normally be not the right tool for this job, even though it still works, it's going to take a little bit longer to cut your stick in half. So now, that's how you cut a big tree, big thick hardwood. This is some maple here. That's how you cut it with just a small knife. All right, so I need one more of these, and then I'm gonna get 4 of these total, because you have one for the toe and the heel. I've only got 3. And at least 6 to 8 of these at least 6 feet long. So I'm gonna finish cutting that now that you know how, and we'll come back to you and show you the finished product in a little bit. Do with this is find out on your stick where your balance is. Okay, right here is about kind of a center balance. You want to be just forward of that so that when you pick your foot up, the back of the the snowshoe drops. Because if you don't do that, you're going to dump into the snow and it's not going to work. So once you've got these measured out, since it picks up on the front like that, right about there is where I'm going to put my front foot and then my back foot. Okay, so on the ball of your foot and under your heel. That's where your 2 spots are going to be roughly. So I'll go ahead and lash these guys down. Do the same thing over here. And then we'll pull that tip up and then go use these guys. So basically all I did was I tied a hitch and wove it back and forth. Just over, under, over, under, over, under. Now I'm just going to drop another hitch on top of here to hold it. Get it past that knot. I'm kind of using this knot because that keeps the stick from sliding out of it. To do a hitch, you just basically twist it and drop it on itself. Clove hitch, I should clarify. You should get that X looking mark when you're done with it. And I like to just drop them a couple of extras. That way friction holds this together and it doesn't shift as much. So I've just gone there. I haven't cut my rope yet. You try not to cut rope in the field unless you really have to. So lash that tip, and then that's going to give me the ability to bend this up just a little bit, if this bends at all. And a quick note too, where we're at, there isn't any willow. Willow or ash or something that bends is going to work the best. This is maple, which is just not a bendy thing at all, which is why it's so important that the back of the snowshoe drops. Now if I had something that bent, I'd be able to pull on this and get some upward bend of the snowshoe right here. Where it's such a dense hardwood, I just have to work with what I've got. So take note, when you can use willow, when you can use ash, use it. If you don't, use what you've got. So a little bit on this hitch, the way that you do this is you take the short piece in your right hand, twist it away from you, and that leaves the loop, which you just drop on the top. Okay? So it's really simple. And then take that same short piece, twist it to the right, and drop it down over the top. And you'll get this X looking cross like that. And when you get that X, no matter what string you pull on, it'll tighten itself up. And I'm going to rotate this so I can get a little more length. And that'll let me do one more time. What that does is it gives me 3 of them on the hitch. And you can actually stack this all the way to the top. But the more this gets pulled on, the tighter it will be. So I'll put it at the angle that I want it to be. And then I'll just start weaving this underneath and keep it kind of spaced. Now, if you want this to be a little more rigid, another thing you can do is put notches in the back side of these if you really want to do, get really technical about it. But since this is field expedient, I'm not going to do that. So we want something that'll let us walk around in the snow really quick. And you want to keep it kind of wide so that it will spread out your weight. Okay, now once I start to get this and it gets fairly snug, I can wrap the string this way around to tighten up the string. So as I wrap that and pull on it, it pulls against itself. And that wrapping process tightens the string up. So it's just basically like lashing. All right? And that, as you can tell, is really solid, and it's going to hold this down. So I just finish off with a hitch over here, I guess. As long as it's going to pull it tight. Turn that the wrong direction. There you go. Now that part will hold on to the ski and pick up the front as you walk. All right, guys, so we went out and we used these. They worked really well. No matter what, when you start using them, they're going to shift a little bit. You have to retighten them and move them around a little bit. I had a good balance on this. I would, for this specific pair, shift this forward about 1 or 2 inches on both sides and these back pieces need to be tighter. You don't need the back pieces, but they're really nice.
If you have a limited amount of cordage, we use a lot of 550 cord on this project. If you have a limited amount of cordage, what you can do is notch these, take a few moments and notch them real well so that
Little
they fit
Lincoln
in place.
logs.
Yeah, like Lincoln logs. And then you can use less cordage by doing that because you're going to have that notch the friction's going to help hold it in place.
So anyway, that's a good way to make field expedient snowshoes. If you have any questions on these, leave them down in the comments. And thank you for watching TJX Survival.
Have fun.